What happens when unity becomes pride? When ambition overshadows obedience? When the voice of man tries to rise higher than the voice of God? It was not a war that divided humanity, not a flood, nor famine, nor the sword. It was a tower, and it was a whisper from heaven, not a shout, that changed the course of nations. This is the story of Babel, not a fable, but a warning. Not just history, but prophecy, written in brick and dust.
The earth was quiet again. The floodwaters had receded, but their memory lingered in the soil, heavy, sacred, and soaked with judgment. Noah's Ark had come to rest on the mountains of Ararat, and from that salvation, life began anew. Generations rose from Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and the children of man spread across the earth. But they did not go far. In the land of Shinar, a broad, fertile plain between the great rivers, they gathered once more, not out of fear, but resolve. Their hearts were unified. Their language was one. And in their unity, a question stirred like smoke. What if we never had to be scattered again? They built not tents, but cities. Not altars, but ambitions. And among them an idea began to take shape, sharp, tall, unyielding. A tower. A structure that would reach the heavens, piercing clouds with stone and ego. Come, they said, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over the face of the whole earth. It sounded noble, but hidden in their mortar was fear. The fear of obedience, the fear of dispersion, the fear of depending on a God they could not control. The tower was not just a monument, it was a rebellion in brick. Each stone laid was a declaration. We will ascend, we will not be forgotten, we will reach God, and we will not be moved. They crafted bricks and burned them thoroughly. Man-made perfection in place of God-made stone. Bitumen, not faith, held it together. But heaven was not unaware. The Lord came down, not because he could not see, but because he always draws near when man begins to drift too high. Behold, he said, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Unity, once holy, had become defiance. A shared tongue, meant to praise, now plotted against the will of its creator. So God did not strike them with fire. He did not send storms. He simply confused their language, a gentle unraveling of understanding. In a moment, words that once flowed like water now sounded like noise. A builder cried for a hammer and received a stare. A mason asked for stone and was handed straw. Their unity dissolved, not by destruction, but by disconnection. God scattered them, not out of wrath but mercy, because what they could not learn in prosperity they would come to know in dispersion. The tower stood unfinished, its peak truncated, its purpose broken. What was meant to touch the sky now fell silent in the sun, a skeleton of ambition weathered by time. The people left, in every direction, carrying new words, new sounds, new paths. From that day, tribes became nations, languages were born, accents formed, and yet in the fragmentation, God's plan advanced. Because it was never man's unity that saved the world. It was God's covenant. From scattered tongues would come many stories, many cultures, and in time, one Savior for them all. We still build towers, silicon towers, towers of thought, towers of self. We still long to make a name, to climb, to rise, to avoid being forgotten. But every tower without obedience ends the same. Babel is not just a city, it's a cycle. And unless we return to the voice that once walked with man in the garden, we will forever speak past each other. But there is hope. At Pentecost, the languages once scattered were heard in unity again. Different tongues, but one spirit. different nations, but one gospel. God did not undo Babel in judgment. He answered it in redemption. The story of Babel is not about a tower. It is about the heart of man. When we seek to ascend without him, we fall apart. But when we surrender, when we scatter in his name rather than against it, he gathers us again in love. One language may have been broken, but a greater word was never silenced, and that word still speaks. To every nation, every tongue, every heart willing to listen. What tower are you building, and whose name is written on its stone?